So, good morning and welcome to our webinar on artificial intelligence in public relations. On behalf of the Board of Directors of UPRERA, thank you all for being here. First of all, to our speakers and also to the participants who showed their interest in this trending topic. Artificial intelligence is a trending topic indeed, as showed in our spring webinars where this theme has been the most appreciated one. That's why before launching the next series of webinars, we decided to organize this standalone edition on artificial intelligence. Before I leave the floor to our speakers, let me remind you that you can find the recordings of our past webinars as well as the calendar of the new ones on our website, uprea.org/webinars. Now, enjoy the presentations and be ready to be part of the debate with your questions. Thank you again. And now I'm leaving the floor to Nilüfer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. Today we are going to talk about artificial intelligence in public relations. We have 4 guest speakers, including myself. We are going to start with Dr. Clea Bourne. She is a professor in the Department of Media, Communication and Cultural Studies at Goldsmiths University of London. Then we are going to continue with Professor Ashwani Kumar, Upadhyay. He is professor at the Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, Dean University in Pune, India. Then Professor Grazia Murtarelli is going to take the stage. She's an assistant professor at the University Institute of Modern Language in Milan, Italy. And lastly, myself, Nilüfer Türksoy. I am associate professor at the Department of Public Relations and Advertising at the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies at Eastern Mediterranean University. So let's begin with Dr. Clea Bourne. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I am not too sure what, am I clicking on the right thing, Maria?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay,
I think everything is okay.
Thank you so much.
By the way, for people who joined us, just let me remind the people who are with us, if they have any question, please leave your question to the comment and we will do our best to respond. Yes, Dr. Clea.
Okay, thank you so much, Nilüfer. And thank you to UPRERA for including me in today's discussion. I've actually been researching AI and also the digital economy for several years. And much of what I'm going to say today is developed much further in my book, very new book on public relations and the digital, which includes an entire chapter on artificial intelligence or AI. Now, you'll notice that my talk is entitled Artificial Intelligence and Automation, because I believe these two terms should always be paired together, because the key word is actually the automation, not so much whether AI is intelligent or not. And I'll come back to that point a few times as I go along. Now, I'm obviously speaking to you from the UK, where about 6 years ago, the UK's promotional trade bodies right across PR, advertising, and marketing really began to sit up and take notice of AI and to consult their members on what the best collective response to these developments might be. And they had good reason for doing so, because across all 3 of these professions, PR, advertising, and marketing, they are actually involved inherently in AI in several different ways. Firstly, there is the fact that AI has been intensively hyped in recent years, and AI has now become one of the world's fastest growing industries. And within this, PR, advertising, and marketing have played a key role in promoting AI products and services, whether that's on behalf of high-tech companies or their investors, on behalf of advisory firms, or even government bodies that are trying to attract AI inward investment. And secondly, all of these professional bodies are justifiably concerned that their workers could get left behind And this is especially true for PR, even as many other professions have really begun to skill up in order to work with AI and automation technologies. And thirdly, there's a concern that as AI and automation is widely adopted, many promotional workers, their roles could become redundant. And of course, finally, and more recently, all three of these professions have come around to the concerns regarding bias, ethics, and indeed fraud that have been perpetuated using AI technologies. So I said that AI has been hyped in recent years, and hopefully this graph will show you what I mean. 2021 was really a phenomenal year for AI investment. In fact, COVID was generally very good news for this sector because as people had to stay home or perhaps go on furlough, AI technologies were able to step in and replace some of the tasks that these people might have been doing. Many actually believe the AI investment has now peaked, and I'm inclined to agree, primarily because interest rates are going up around the world, which means that once upon a time where high-tech investment was the only game in town, investors have now found other places to put their money for potentially better return. But that doesn't mean that we can relax about AI and automation, and I will show you why on the next slide. So what's crucial to understand is that the way that the global economy is organized has now changed. We live in a world that is led by digital platforms. So I'm talking about companies such as Google, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, which owns Facebook, and of course, Amazon, eBay, Uber. I'm presenting to you right now on a platform. And there are, of course, more specialist companies such as PayPal, Expedia, Booking.com. And these platform companies have become a vital economic infrastructure. They combine big data, cloud, mobile telephony to bring together all sorts of different users, customers, advertisers, service providers, producers, and suppliers. So they're now more than just a new model for doing business. They've actually emerged as a new means of economic production. Specifically, they're a means of connection, and their connections produce data which allows platform owners to create surplus value into the world economy. So where does AI come in? Well, digital platforms are actually designed to intermediate data flows by continuously measuring audiences, ranking preferences, and applying predictive analytics. And their entire modus operandi is actually to amass and generate ever more data. So platform companies cannot hope to cope with or manage that volume of big data without a specific form of AI technology known as machine learning. Now, there's been a series of breakthroughs in recent years in modern AI. And what we find now is that deep neural networks are being used on digital platforms, and platforms have actually become key providers of AI technologies. Now, I'm not claiming that AI does any of the things that it claims to do particularly well. It does things like run ad auctions, SEO rankings on platforms, content moderation, detecting click fraud or filtering spam. But the point is that it does all of these things faster than human beings can do, and supposedly more efficiently, though you could argue that point. So let me just take this back to PR now. The fact is that PR and indeed many professions are finding that their work, their daily tasks have been platformized. In other words, the things that you do from day to day will require liaising with a digital platform of some kind, including the platforms that you probably use every day to organize your own work, whether that might be SharePoint or Slack or Monday.com. And in order to connect with platforms, we need tools and interfaces, many of which use AI. So the graph that you're looking at now, and don't worry about the fact that you can't make out what's on it, in a way, that's the point. This is a graph developed by Chief Martech, and they have been tracking marketing technology software for over a decade. When they started tracking MarTech or marketing technology tools back in 2011, there were just 150 tools available on the market. And the story here is not so much about AI, because not all of these tools use AI, but this is absolutely a story about automation. In other words, all of these digital tools represent the way that advertising, marketing, and PR work is increasingly being done, certainly in the largest markets for these services. Now, let me put PR into perspective into this landscape of 9,932 MarTech tools. So hopefully you can see on the screen, if you look to the left-hand side and then count 4 down, you'll find PR. And then look across to the right-hand side and you will see why the PR profession really does have a problem here. Because PR is one of the smallest areas on this screen. Now, this does not mean that PR professionals aren't using a wide range of MarTech tools. But what it means is that the tools that are currently in use for specialist PR work were not actually designed with PR expertise in mind and are therefore not typically customized to PR work. And this really spells out an interesting discussion of power and asymmetries in the industries that are using these MarTech tools. And so let me come back to why I feel it's very important that we refer not just to AI, but specifically to AI and automation, because that's what those tools are helping to achieve, and they're helping to achieve this for the digital platform economy. So in the final chapter of my book, I set out exactly how digital platforms are actually disarticulating professional skills, not just in PR, but in marketing, in customer services, in education, in my own profession, in the law, in health and medicine. So you'll see 6 different ways that this kind of disarticulation is happening. Taskification, which is slicing your work down into smaller tasks. Every one of those MarTech tools, for example, is slicing down what people are doing from day to day in PR or, say, marketing. Individualization, which is replacing the large group in-person work settings with individuals working from home or off-site, which is exactly what I'm sure many of us are doing today. Speed, absolutely crucial to the way that digital platforms make their profit. Increasingly hectic work tempo to meet the expectations of service on demand. So think how quickly you now expect Amazon to deliver something, or Uber to come and pick you up, or Just Eat if you happen to be in one of those markets delivering food to your door. Agility, constantly iterative production processes that are always in beta. I'll say more about that in just a bit. M-shaped skills, I'm particularly worried about this. This is professions that are now able to combine multiple skill sets, and we're finding that data scientists are now coming into PR and marketing with their computing background, but also the very same skill sets that people hire PR or marketing professionals to offer in the first place. And then algorithmic governance, which many PR practitioners are familiar with for the last 20 years. This might be software tools that are tracking exactly how much work they're getting done on behalf of their department or client. So I said I was going to come back to the point of beta and iterative processes, because a very good example of this is the way that creativity now goes into campaign development, particularly digital campaigns, and what platforms are increasingly referring to as content production, regardless of what you do, whether you are a filmmaker, whether you work in PR, whether you make ads, whatever it is, whatever you produce is now referred to as content. And there's an entire chapter in my book that looks at creativity in PR and raises concerns about the platformized trend toward beta creativity. This is where you try out a campaign on a social media platform specifically, and the platform can come back and tell you whether, it is working or not. So once they give you market research from what's happening on the platform, you can then tweak your campaign and keep tweaking it and keep tweaking it, personalizing it more and more to the groups that the platform tells you to personalize it for, presumably until you start getting the results that you want for your campaign. Now, across PR advertising and marketing, when I talk to professionals, I find that they largely see this iterative process as a good thing. However, the data that is being learned from this iterative work, all the tweaking and the improving, produces more and more data. And that data is actually being acquired by platforms, AI technologies. And this is why several platforms are now developing or have developed a suite of marketing campaign tools, which they originally offered directly to smaller companies that maybe couldn't afford to hire PR or marketing, but they're increasingly offering to the big companies as well, and explaining that this is actually a cheaper, quicker, and more efficient way to get all the stuff that you used to liaise with an agency or a communications department for. And the typical rebuttal that I get when I talk to people working in PR and marketing, when I raise these concerns, is that, okay, that's certain kinds of work, much of it being done by junior people. So it's okay if that stuff gets disarticulated, because really the value of PR is being freed up to offer strategic advice, which depends on the sorts of things that AI can't do. Offer intuition, empathy, relationship building, all of the things that are required to establish a deep understanding and rapport with clients or with senior management. Well, meet your new PR strategist. What you're seeing on the screen are renderings for what the AI industry now delights in referring to as digital employees. Various AI companies are already providing digital employee solutions across banking, customer care, healthcare, insurance, IT, and in telecommunications. There are tailored AI solutions such as Della AI, which are used in the legal profession. This technology is used to onboard new clients and review legal contracts and provide paralegal services. And these are the next generation in AI. They combine two sets of technologies in particular: conversational AI, which uses emotional techniques. And these bots are able to offer the sorts of responses that sound more human, more nuanced, as human interaction often is, more responsive, which is what you need to have a successful conversation with a human. The second area of AI technology that had really come along is what is called neural rendering, which combines advanced computer graphics and machine learning to create algorithms that synthesize images that replicate human faces. And this is synthesized from filming real-world observations of actual human beings. Now, these so-called digital humans may not yet be able to conduct the nuanced conversations that more senior PR practitioners have with their clients or with management, but they are synthesizing the conversations that are held in customer service, for example. And remember, machine learning is learning all the time. So just imagine that you advise a chief executive or a politician or a celebrity who happens to possess a narcissistic personality. Pick anyone, because there are quite a few of them who have been making the news headlines right now. I'm thinking, of course, of owners of companies like Twitter. And this kind of personality doesn't particularly like listening to sound PR advice or even to sound legal advice, but they're still paying you. And what they could do is just to record all your interactions and feed that information into their customized digital employee. And I promise you that would be quite a lot of data, because you would always be having to counsel this particular kind of client. After a few months, or maybe after a year, the digital PR consultant could take over from you and operate successfully by telling that narcissistic personality exactly what they want to hear. Every PR practitioner knows what it's like to deal with that kind of client or manager. So just to bring this to a conclusion, my message when I talk about public relations, AI, and automation is actually a tough one, but I don't think that there's any need for us to lie down and let this wave of AI technologies wash over the PR profession. In my view, the PR's idea of what the future could look like needs to be a bigger vision. It's a vision that is currently too small, too focused on things like jobs and skills. It needs to be a vision that is constructed in conjunction with other professions, because what is happening now is affecting all manner of professions. So I'd like to leave you with 2 books and a pamphlet that I feel can be very inspiring in thinking about how our near future should be. The first is The Platform Society, which really sets out a solid, concrete plan for how we take back control from digital platforms and put the right kinds of societal structures in place. The second book is called Resisting AI. It's written by my colleague at Goldsmiths, Dan McQuillan. Dan is a computing expert, which I am not, and he can tell you as a computing expert why our attitude to AI and automation must change and how we can do it. And the third is a pamphlet that has been put out by the Media Reform Coalition, which is run out of Goldsmiths, and it puts together a future for the media, because a future for PR really must also consider a future for the media and democracy. And I feel that the PR profession does need to be far more vocal on this subject, as increasingly PR researchers have come to be. So I'll end it there and hand over to my fellow speakers. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Clea.
Hello.
Yeah.
Dr. Clea, Bourne, thank you for your presentation. I think we can move to the next speaker. Dr. Ashwani, can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Would you like to start your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Great.
So a brief intro. I am Dr. Ashwani, and I am a professor at Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, and I come from India. So recently I had wrote a book on AI revolution in HRM, and it was published by Sage. And this research which I'm going to present now was done by my student and me together in 2019. So we were looking at, whether AI can disrupt the existing companies or the agencies in the PR industry or not. Just a second. Yeah. So I understand that a lot of people who are attending this webinar, they might not be even having a clue what AI is. So in 1956, there was this conference which was organized where John McCarthy, he has coined this particular term known as artificial intelligence. Now, I teach this course on AI, AR, and VR, and there I discuss about the application of AI in media and entertainment industry, and I also touch upon how AI is useful in public relations. So basically, we as humans, are considered to be intelligent, and we have a lot of functionality like touch. We can recognize images, and that is why we are able to drive, right? So when we look at machines, they are able to do repetitive works, but they are still not as intelligent as humans. And that is why when you are interacting with a chatbot or you are interacting with any machine, you feel that they lack intelligence. And that is why people are still afraid of, being driven in autonomous vehicles. So where the car is a robot and is driving by itself, because you still feel that you cannot trust that machine, right? So science and engineering of making intelligent machines is basically artificial intelligence. So in this particular case, what happens is we see the machine simulating human intelligence, and there's a test known as Turing's test, where if you are interacting with the machine and you are not able to realize or identify whether the machine is a human or a machine, is the point where you say AI is equivalent to human intelligence. So the purpose of this paper basically was to understand AI applications in the public relations industry and whether small agencies which are using AI powered solutions, can they disrupt the bigger agencies or not? So I had done a brief literature review, and I had found that most of the papers which were written were talking about AI anxiety, because a lot of PR professionals, they are afraid of their jobs being taken over by AI machines. Then a lot of papers also talked about the challenges which PR industry is facing and how AI can be used to overcome those challenges. They were also interested in knowing whether AI will affect their job, and that was the reason why AI anxiety existed, right? So next. Then few of the papers talked about whether PR practitioners really need to use AI solutions or not, whether PR practitioners have the capability to use AI based solutions or not. And so when you look at the literature, you find that trust, anxiety, risk, these are the kind of factors which emerge when you look at the literature, and people are still not sure whether AI will be useful for the PR professionals or not, how AI applications are going to help the PR professionals. So those were the kind of concerns which came out from the literature review. So in the Indian context, I did the study. Next slide, please. So I had picked up these 4 research questions. One was about the general perception and attitude of PR professionals toward AI applications. Second was which applications are meaningful in the PR industry. Then third was the adoption of AI and how it is impacting the job of PR professionals, and what impact AI is going to have on the client agency relationship, because we understand that PR is more of a B2B function, and where a client is there and the agency is handling the public relation job for that particular client. And the fourth question was whether AI has the potential to strategically disrupt in the PR industry or not, right? So these were the 4 questions. Next, please. So I had done a qualitative research where I had used semi-structured interviews. I had like 31 respondents in my study. I had done a pilot study, a discussion guide was used, and each interview lasted around 25 minutes. A recording device was used, and then we had transcribed the interviews. We had collated those interviews on an Excel sheet, and then we had done thematic analysis of the content which we have got in the interview sheets. Next. So in our study, we had participants from all the 3 levels, senior level as well as mid level as well as the entry level, because we felt that people who are at the entry level, they are more excited about technology adoption, and they are the people who are more interested in using the new tools which come in the industry. Next, please. Then we had recorded the interviews, we had coded, identified the themes. Now I will take you to the results of the study. So general perception about AI amongst PR professionals, and I had done the study, so this is basically a result which is from Indian professionals, and these PR professionals, they said that they are aware about AI being adopted. So there are functions like sentiment analysis, there are functions like transcribing. So for example, you record, then you transcribe it. So they were aware about these small functions, and they were also understanding that the AI application is higher in European or US context. Next. Then some people, they were very skeptical about penetration of AI in the PR industry. They said that one of the main key functions of any PR professional is to manage crisis. And they said that it's difficult for any machine to manage a crisis. But there were some younger professionals also who said that if the crises are breaking or are happening on social media, then humans cannot identify or trace that crisis. You require a machine to detect that kind of crisis. So AI can actually play an important role when it comes to crisis happening on social media, on digital platforms, because uh, there are conversations happening, and if you use AI, then actually you can do the analysis and identify whether there is some risk involved or not. Next, please. Then question number 2 was applications of AI which are meaningful for the PR industry, and assisting PR managers in designing campaigns was one of the functions, because when you are designing a campaign, you require a lot of insights, and those insights can be collected with help of AI-based automated tools. Then next is automating, technical tasks. So these PR professionals, especially entry-level PR professionals, they are required to maintain these media lists and other tasks. They have to do calendar, etc. They have to organize a social media calendar. So those kind of small technical tasks can again be automated. Then I will give you an example of so influencer marketing is one industry where a lot of artificial intelligence is used. These agencies, what they're doing is they have multiple influencers and then they have multiple clients. So when these influencers have to be managed and they have to be matched with the clients, there is no way that a human can do it. You require a machine which is artificially intelligent to do that particular task. Then crisis management again is a function which people talked about. Next. Then AI can be used to write data-driven stories. So Associated Press, they had used artificial intelligence to write, financial news and sport journalism news. Then organizing and updating media lists I talked about. Then converting and transcribing audio to text. So Otter.ai is one of the tools which I commonly used to transcribe my audio recordings of the interviews. Then follow and predict media trends, monitor and manage social media. These are some of those small functions which can be easily performed by AI machines. Next. Then the mundane tasks can be managed by AI, and when these mundane tasks are managed by AI, what happens is PR professionals, they get extra time to do value added work, so they can strategize, they can create better campaigns because they have insights at a click of a button. Then managing client agency relationship is also something which can be automated. Your responses become very quick, smooth communication is there, and people start trusting each other because the client can also see the dashboard and can get real-time insights. Next. Then the fourth question was, is there a potential of strategic disruption in the PR industry with AI? People were having mixed responses. They said that there is no way that agency having AI solution will overpower our existing big media, PR agency network. But some people said that since a lot of tasks can be performed very efficiently by the machines, therefore a particular agency which is using AI can do the job much better. I will give you an example. For example, media planning is a function where a lot of artificial intelligence is being used, and there are agencies which are using AI and they are creating plans, and the plans, they are working much better in comparison to the plans which are just developed by the humans. So a lot of opportunity is there, and definitely, I'm a very positivist person, and I see that in future, definitely agencies which are using AI will have a strong, good market, and they will be performing better than the existing traditional agencies. Next, please. Then there are certain implementation issues, like, for example, people are very skeptical about the cost. Some people are, not familiar with the tools and the softwares which are available in the market. Then next, please. Then there are certain challenges which are faced by the agencies who want to use AI. Finding suitable AI talent is a big challenge because not many people are trained, and people, younger people, they are completing their courses and they are joining the industry. And so finding people who are having good understanding of the statistics and the softwares, and then they have a good understanding of the PR function also, is a huge challenge. Return on investment again is a challenge. Lack of structured data to train the machine is a challenge. Verifying the authenticity of the data, then if you're writing a story, then who get the copyright, the content which is being generated, how do you use it fairly, reliability, trust, these are the kind of challenges which exist. Next, please. Then from the exploratory research, I can conclude that people are aware and they are positive about application of AI in the PR industry. Then still it is in the nascent stage, but quickly, people are catching up on it. COVID has also acted as a catalyst, and Professor Dr. Clea also has talked about it, that how the investments are going up. Then next is that some people are definitely skeptical, but they also understand that if they will not adopt the technology, if they are not open to the use of technology, it will be difficult for them to survive. Next, please. Then collaboration between humans and AI is something. So people in different industries. So I do this case on Stitch Fix, where machine plus a stylist is used to give suggestions to the clients. So similarly, PR professionals using data coming from AI systems is the way forward. So healthy symbiosis between human and AI is the way forward. I would like to leave you with few questions. Next, please. So whether humans can be replaced when it is about managing press relations, whether you can create content from the scratch, whether you can identify, detect, target audiences with help of AI, can AI be used to predict crisis, is customization and maintenance of relations possible with the clients as well as with the key stakeholders, and can a AI system manage a full-blown crisis, and can smaller agencies, because the question of strategic disruption by a small player still remains unanswered. So that is the last question I want to leave you with. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Ashwani, for the eye-opening presentation. Before we move to the next speaker, I would like to remind the people, the guests who are listening us, you can ask any question, you can write under the window of the live show, and then we will do our best to respond them. Okay, Professor Grazia Murtarelli, I think the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Okay, I needed to ask help to the our technological support for presenting the slideshow, because I'm not able to do. So if they could help me. In the meanwhile, I think that I can go on and try to introduce the topic. So we can, okay, let's go. So my speech today is about a specific use of artificial intelligence technologies, in the sense that I decided to focus this speech on one of our last researches conducted in our Center of Research for Strategic Communication at the ULM University. We focused on the topic of trust and why especially new generation of stakeholders and publics should trust the stakeholders. So we tried to focus more specifically on the ethical challenges linked to the increasing use of e-technologies for interacting with the stakeholders, with the digital users, with consumers. So we know that this increasing use, of course, poses some challenges, especially linked to the risk perception, the difficulty to approach these type of technologies by common stakeholders. If we think about some hot topics, we can discuss about a low level of explainability about some technologies. We have a data security, privacy, ethical problems, especially for some specific tools. For what concerns the chatbot that we can say they are used as e-service agents programmed to show human conversational behavior. A great emphasis, especially in PR and corporate communication, has been given to the anthropomorphization process of these technologies. Because by anthropomorphizing these technologies, it seems to be effective in convincing users to adopt and dialogue with the challenges, overpassing the initial common distrust. So the ethical challenges that in this study we decided to focus on were mainly three. First of all, the information asymmetry that occurs within human-machine interaction. Second, the humanization of chatbots to increase credibility. Of course, we have some problems because these chatbots are not characterized by morality, by self-awareness. And then we have a problem about the protection of privacy and security. So what we decided to focus on was to try to understand what kind of behavior, ethical behavior, organization could implement in order to be perceived more ethical and in order to make the use of chatbot acceptable by the digital users, especially the youngest one. So when we talk about the perceived ethical behaviors, we relate it to three main actions. The adoption of a specific code of conduct by the organization that should explain how they decided to use the new technologies. The second one is an explicit communication that could be also a post on Facebook or on the website by the company about how they use data, and an explicit commitment shown by the organizational management in concrete ethical action. So past action can, of course, be perceived as ethical behaviors for what concerns the evaluation of the company. So we claimed that these organizational ethical behaviors and at a more general adopting ethics can play a crucial role in facilitating the trustworthiness towards this new chatbot. So we developed a new hypothetical model that I will show you graphically so we can go directly to the results. According to our model, we claimed that these perceived ethical behaviors could positively impact the trustworthiness towards chatbot and consequently positively impact the intention to use chatbot, the perceived evaluation of the organization in terms of image and the reputation, and also the intention to buy products recommended by the chatbot. So what we did was to launch a survey involving 309 respondents that was very young, 22 years old. We tried, of course, to operationalize the ethical behaviors that we mentioned before by using the specific academic scales. Then going directly to results and then to the conclusions so we can leave also time to the questions. For what concerns the first finding, our first hypothesis was confirmed. Consumers claimed that the adoption of a specific code of conduct related to the user's chatbot make them feel more safer during the digital interaction. They declared that knowing how organization will use the information collected with chatbot can contribute to reassure them about risk, for instance, linked to privacy and ethics. And they also claim to appreciate those organizations that are ethically involved and they communicate their ethical actions. Our hypothesis seems to be confirmed in terms of trustworthiness toward chatbot positively impact the consumer's intention to use the virtual agents for interacting with organizations. So, especially in terms of when we talk about trustworthiness, we talk about the ability, the integrity, and the benevolence attributed to the chatbot by digital stakeholders. Then this trustworthiness seems to impact also so a positive evaluation of the company using the virtual agent for satisfying users' needs. And then again, trustworthiness towards a chatbot positively affect the consumer's intention to buy product recommended by this chatbot. So this is surveyed, so our research model was confirmed, but this surveys to get straight to the conclusion can help us to provide a contribution in terms to the how to extend the stream of research on ethical challenge related to the use of a specific artificial intelligence tool. And of course, we obtained good results in terms of relevance of adopting ethical behaviors for stimulating the acceptance and the attitude to use a chatbot. So from an empirical perspective, our studies provide us some useful insight for what concerns concrete suggestions for implementing ethical behaviors related to this artificial intelligence. Of course, we have some limitation, the component of the sample. We have not considered some mediating variables, like, for instance, the digital technologies accessibility, or like, for instance, culture that could affect, of course, the use of new technologies. So cognitive factors, social norms factors could be taken into consideration, for instance, for future research that wanted to explore more in details this topic. So thank you so much. I hope to see some comments and questions from the audience, and thank you, Nilüfer. So the stage is yours.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Professor Grazia. In fact, I just look at my notes and I see that there is a very nice flow in the discussion. So Professor Clea, she talked about the recent book she published on public relations and digital. Then we moved to Professor Ashwani, who talked about the article he published again on artificial intelligence as a strategic disruption in public relations. And we then listened to your presentation on chatbots, why I should trust chatbots, and ethical issues, ethical behaviors organizations can apply, and how to use the data ethically. And I am just going to continue with the place that you, Grazia, left, because my talk is about the application of artificial intelligence in public relations and emerging ethical issues in the ecosystem. I will try to develop a critical understanding of how the most powerful and far-reaching technology of our time is changing business, transforming society, and impacting our future. We know that no technology is having a bigger impact on business than artificial intelligence. And every company in the developed world understands it offers a competitive advantage. Many developing countries are also trying to their best with digital-based development strategies, but it's not easy to rebuild their business model around it. On the bright side, as many of the speakers have mentioned, there are numerous advantages to being technology-driven. AI helps companies to develop new solutions that perform well in the marketplace. AI helps businesses to increase their market share, gather customer information, develop effective business strategies, and produce service better and cheaper. Professor Ashwani also mentioned that major PR agencies have already put into practice various AI tools in their routine functions. And these technological advancements have strengthened PR persons in managing their reputation, strengthening community relations, promoting brand value, and overall enhancing the online presence of their clients. So the application of AI in public relations has enormous promise to improve businesses, but it comes with a price. AI's inappropriate and unethical use by some companies has become a big concern in recent years, and it starts possessing ethical, moral, and legal issues that needs consideration. The word unethical means morally correct, morally not correct. But in the context of artificial intelligence, the unethical use of AI is typically related to the violation of private data. However, who decides what is moral or ethically correct and what is not? Between cultures, for example, there are differences as to what is considered ethical and what is not. This means there should be a more open discussion about morally and ethically correct when building technology products for consumers and using their data. But people's data should be valued, not violated. In information society, data is considered to be the oil that fuels the rapid growth of artificial intelligence technologies. It is data that enables AI to learn how to analyze, predict, and make decisions, because machines learn from vast amount of data. AI also gives tremendous power to those who control all the data. As a product of our societies, this data is full of subtle biases. I mean, AI systems deliver biased results, and search engine technology is not neutral too. Bias in artificial intelligence originates from stereotypical representations deeply rooted in our societies. AI algorithms learn from our biased systems. We are the people who build AI, and we are the people who utilize it. If AI is going to be increasingly used in public relations, then it needs to be morally accountable. Bias should be avoided, or at least minimized in the development of algorithms in the large data sets used for their learning. Given firms keep their AI innovations a secret, it's very difficult task to tackle any unethical practices. Imagine that you're reading a news story. With perfectly crafted language, it's logical to assume that the author is human. In 2020, OpenAI released GPT-3, an artificial intelligence tool that uses huge data sets to perform very amazing tasks like creating articles, stories, and news reports. With just several words as prompts, GPT-3 can write realistic stories with a first-person human perspective. This means that modern AI tools are intelligent enough to mimic many of our human tendencies like creativity and prejudice or bias. So GPT-3 can create racial, gender, and religious bias and prejudice or hate speech. So the question is, can we trust what we see with our eyes online? And what happens when we can no longer believe what we see? If you show the AI technologies that can create deep fake enough images of a company leader or of a brand, they will generate a convincing video in which that person or that brand appears to say and do things they have never actually said or done. The result is a media environment in which anyone's face or any company's brand image and reputation can be remixed and manipulated. Graham Michael, a communication professor at the University of Westminster, just recently published a book titled Deepfake. I think it's 2 weeks ago. And in this book, Deepfake, he shows how synthetic media, which he calls deepfake, emerged from social media. He traces how they are embedded in complex dynamics of power, representation, and manipulation. He shows how deepfakes are made and used. He argues that deepfake videos allow for a new perspective on the taken for granted nature of contemporary media, in which our capacity to remix and share content increasingly conflict with our capacity to trust. Deepfakes are made and used. Disinformation campaign, for example, increase the mistrust between companies and their stakeholders. These deepfakes then can be used as a weapon. For example, company presidents can be blackmailed by the threat of publishing damaging deepfake videos. So in today's competitive business environment, many business leaders are pressured to analyze how to generate more value for shareholders and investors and fail to reflect on the long-term implications of artificial intelligence's unethical or biased use. Our online interactions, for example, our communications are constantly being monitored and collected by mega corporations. For instance, only by observing our social media consumption, technology guides may distort the political opinion we form. For example, several big technology companies have been involved in scandals by allowing wrong and unethical use of data and artificial intelligence in their platforms. Just remember, in 2018, the Cambridge Analytica data scandal, millions of Facebook accounts were used for political purpose. Meta, Facebook used AI algorithms to micro-target political ads in 2016 US elections. This case shows us how news may affect the market's complex structure. Social media bots especially are magic multipliers. They can be used to target billions of users simultaneously at a very lower cost. Social media platforms may manipulate users' view of the world. They could impact our actions and behaviors, our ethics, and our politics and voting behavior. At no time in history have market become so concentrated in the hands of a few digital companies. Today, Google, together with Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta are the top 5 biggest corporations that use advanced AI technologies in the world. They rely on their economic strength and powerful position in the society. They have a common growing effect on people's daily life. They also have growing political influence. This raises ethical concerns about how big companies shape the world via AI-powered systems and for which purpose they use AI. I think undoubtedly AI will create global technological inequalities, enhancing the already powerful nations more powerful and making the less developed nations more exploitable. This is also valid for big and small companies, since AI will create more gaps between these two, big and small companies. It appears that multinational companies which have enormous budget to invest in AI technologies will continue to multiply their global profit. On the other hand, small companies, if they do not follow these trends, they will become weaker. The academic literature provides that it's the market that famously speaks. So the marketer's decisions might conflict with our notions of ethics, justice, happiness, value, or ecological sustainability. Instead of letting democracy be controlled by the global market, we must find ways that the market would be democratically controlled. In this way, the trust between businesses and society may be restored. It's worth mentioning that this is not the case for most companies. And due to the Cambridge Analytica scandal, many have carefully started to design human-centric use of artificial intelligence. Let me give you an example. Salesforce. It's an American software company. It's also the world's leading CRM company. It provides customer relationship management software and applications focused on sale. In 2018, Salesforce was the first company in the world to name a chief ethical office. And many big companies have followed their example. They appointed someone as the first ever chief ethical and human use officer, who will be helping in producing technology for social good, with a focus on helping companies building ethical technology. This is considered a crucial step to more human-centric business practices, I would say. I want to leave you with a few questions that we need to think about. First, will the influence of tech giants on society's daily life continue to grow? What could be done to decrease their monopoly? Big data, artificial intelligence, algorithm predictions, are these solutions to the problems affecting our unstable society? And lastly, is there any way out from the digital neoliberal realism within which we live in? These are some questions that I think we should think about. Thanks a lot. And this is the end of my presentation too. I think now I can open the stage for all the speakers, and if there are any questions, we can address them. I'm not sure if I see any question, by the way.
So amazing
Dr. Clea, Dr.
presentation.
Ashwani.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question. Like, for example, you talked about, deep fakes. So deep fake as a technology, so a lot of people, they are doing lip syncing and they are creating, morphed images and morphed videos. So if we look at public relations function, right? So if an organization CEO or the chairman or the managing director is shown, in a certain situation or saying a certain thing, right? So how can so a deepfake is a product of artificial intelligence. You are using an algorithm to create a deepfake. So do you see a way out of this? So what can companies or what can these social media giants like Facebook, etc. So what can these big companies like, let it be Twitter or let it be Meta or Google do to check, control this kind of nuisance where, a deepfake video is being circulated? Because I'm aware that there are companies who offer these softwares to detect deepfakes. Because it's unethical. If you are coming up with a deepfake video. I
think you're asking if there is a way out, if we can somehow protect ourselves from deepfake videos.
Or the companies can protect themselves, or who should play an important role? Should it be the regulatory bodies, or should it be the big companies like social media platforms like Meta or Google or Twitter? Or who should take ownership of controlling these kind of nuisance?
I wonder if I could come in there,
that's
because
a very
I
good
think
question.
this is
I'm
one
not
of the
sure if
big
I have
questions.
a concrete answer.
Yes, I agree. It's a very big question. And for me personally, I would like to see PR researchers and practitioners actually working with other professions and other fields of research, because there's been a lot of thought about this in human-to-machine communication, in sociology, for example. It cannot just be left to regulators, because regulators have particular agendas. And the fact is, as I showed in one of my slides, this is an industry that brings billions and billions into any particular economy that has chosen to invest in this area. As a result, I think there's a lot of political capture at the moment. There isn't a great deal of political will to curtail these organizations. Nilüfer, you were talking about the sheer scale of companies like Meta, for example, or Alphabet that owns Google. In other sectors of the economy, companies like that would not have been allowed to grow as large as they are today, because there would have been competition regulation applied to their sheer size. So I think it is going to be left to us as citizens and as other forms of collectives, including professions. And so that was one of the reasons I put up that series of books at the end of my slides. And particularly, I would recommend Resisting AI, from my colleague Dan McQuillan, who talks about the role that we can play as citizens. He sees a role for communities in beginning to have bodies, if you will, sort of like resident magistrate courts that look at how bots are behaving, for instance, referring to Grazia's presentation. The sorts of software that are being adopted into particular functions, especially when they're being adopted into our health system and our education system. So this might feel very touchy-feely, but the truth is it's really returning power to areas of society that once had it. But because technology has moved so fast, we as human beings haven't even had time to stop and absorb how much of our lives have actually transformed as part of this. So I think it's very important to allow citizens, and for us as just regular workers, to acknowledge that we do have some sort of agency in this.
Yes, so if I can add something, so I absolutely agree with Dr. Bourne, and this is a very big question. Probably also the choice made by digital users could affect. And in this sense, probably I think that public relation professionals and could have like a direct effect or a not direct effect, in the sense that one task for the company could be to educate also people in understanding and recognizing, in searching for and appreciating certified information and real videos. So, and not to provide so much visibility to fake. So this could be something that we can add to the discussion.
Something else I wanted to add, because it's been something I've been discussing with students and with other people, even on LinkedIn over the last couple of weeks, is how we empower people to think that they can actually get involved with curtailing problems such as poor ethics, such as deep fakes, etc. My original area of research is financial markets, and it's actually from financial markets that I then began to look at AI technologies, because that's an area that began to transform very rapidly after the global financial crisis. And in researching finance, I found that people are very timid about thinking that they have a role in understanding how finance works. So I was very used to that over the years. Even, presenting at research conferences, people would think, oh, it's a presentation on finance, I'll leave the room. People feel more comfortable with the digital, but not enough to make me feel that we're on the right road. And a reason for this is that we have allowed people to think that this is not something for them. It's for people who work in IT and computing, whereas digital really is about all of us. And I find this as a parent myself. My child studied computing and is still in many ways more likely to ask a question about how something works and not seek out the answer the way that maybe I would, because I'm just used to not really understanding any of this, So I think we have a real social job ahead of us to teach people technological confidence is what one researcher has called it here in the UK. And it's so important. It may even reflect how people ask questions in sessions like this. They think, well, it's AI, so it's not for me. I wouldn't even know how to ask because I just don't know anything. So I think public relations has a huge role to play in this kind of education. So it's not just people like us passing on information. It's passing on confidence that this is for you. Sure, you have a right not just to ask, but to demand certain things. That's so important.
Okay, thank you for this wonderful webinar. We all did our best, I think, to give the listeners some thoughts to think about. And thank you for the comments as well. I think it's time to close the session. Again, Professor Grazia, Professor Clea, Professor Ashwani, thank you for being with us, and see you in another session.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.